morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to the moon. I am your host for this evening, Lawrence Ray, and today I am joined, as always, by my esteemed co-hosts, Ricardo Martinez and Jerry. And today we are interviewing the fantastic Paolo Ardoino, CTO of Bitfinex and CTO of Tether, all-around Bitcoiner. Essentially, Paolo, is that an okay introduction? Is there anything else you want to say? And how are you doing today?
Well, thank you very much for having me today. And I'm having a great day. I'm really happy to talk to you about Bitcoin, anything you want, the industry, how it evolves, and so on. So,
gotcha. No, that's cool. Absolutely. I mean, I'll start us off with a question. I like to usually kind of just ask about people's earlier things they got up to in their lives, just to get a feel for like who you are and where you've come from. And I saw that you were a self-taught developer at quite a young age, I believe. And you were sort of interested in Bitcoin from the get-go when you read the white paper. I guess my question is just kind of, I was interested to see what it was that got you into Bitcoin, like when you first read it. What was that kind of stood out to you? Was it more a philosophical thing, or was it more to do with the way that it was designed by Satoshi? And what kind of piqued your interest and got you to work in it from quite early on in its infancy, I suppose?
Yeah, so at the time when I was reading for the first time the Bitcoin white paper, actually I was working in London in this, I created a fintech company called Fincluster in London. And our main job there, the purpose of the company was to servicing hedge funds in the city. And I had to deal all day with reconciling numbers from different trading venues of these funds, or different banks, different custodians, and so on. Now, it was a completely waste of time because all those companies were using such outdated technologies and was making my life almost impossible. So I was spending most of my time in doing that. Now, when I was reading the Bitcoin white paper, I thought, okay, this is actually the solution to all my problems, because Bitcoin is all about consistency, right? Bitcoin is about showing in a transparent way, in a transparent ledger, that all the information cannot be tampered with. Data has to be well formatted, right? In finance, you have all this unclean data that you have to deal with and so on. So data is there, is consistent, is resilient. And so basically it was the dream of my life, because it was the solution to all my problems. I was thinking, okay, if now the entire world will move to the blockchain concept, things will be more easy to maintain, easier to scale, cheaper to maintain as well. So unfortunately, I was looking at Bitcoin first from that angle, but right after in the following months, I started thinking more about Bitcoin as currency. So how it could actually enable people to own their own money, right? So how it would change lives. And of course, I mean, I didn't have the knowledge and the vision and that I have today, but I was thinking, okay, it is really, really, really a long shot, but there is really something here. It's my also part of my let's say younger age and till today, but I feel myself as a cyberpunk from sort of formation and way of creating things, and that was basically the cyberpunk money for me.
Gotcha. Okay. No, I like that. And I think it's fair that because of your experiences when you first read Bitcoin, you're going to see it from a perspective that helps you in the now, right? Like, well, I've currently got these annoying frustrations with what I'm doing. Bitcoin resolves those. And then you kind of see, when you reread it or you think about it again, more of the kind of the idealist point of view, or the idea that it can help people have financial independence. I like that a lot. Ricardo, I'll pass to you for the next question.
I wanted to ask you, what have you learned from Bitfinex's role as a pioneer in Lightning adoption? I know you guys were one of the first exchanges to implement Lightning. Can you share any interesting things that you've discovered?
Yeah, so first of all, I believe that there are two main concepts. But supporting Lightning is easier than what people make it sound. So yes, we had to do some development work. At the same time, it was, first of all, exciting. And the second, it was, it's much easier than implementing some other random blockchain. So it's quite a misconception that actually is tough to manage and integrate with Lightning. Second is that we have seen also, well, working with you guys, also a ramping adoption of Lightning Network. As soon as we started supporting it, we have seen many clients, but many other hubs and so on, opening channels to us. So there is interest. There was interest from the beginning, and also today we are in this crazy moment when also McDonald's in South Salvador is supporting Lightning payments. So it's beautiful, and I'm so glad that we start early, because you acquired knowledge. You also you also educate your customers. You show that there is a way for people to use Bitcoin for micropayments, super fast in pace in terms of payment speed, as well as is extremely cheap. So we have been hearing many blockchains talking about super cheap transactions and so on. And actually, Lightning Network is super fast, it is extremely cheap, and it's Bitcoin.
It's interesting you mentioned because I don't know how deep you are into customer support and or even just issues with the general blockchains there are that you guys support. But just from my perspective, from dealing with customer support in different crypto-based companies, usually when you're dealing with Bitcoin, things just are pretty straightforward. And it's kind of if something goes wrong, it's pretty easy to see where and sort it quite immediate, basically. And not often does anything really go wrong, even on the side of the back end of the exchange, for example. Whereas with altcoins, it just seems like there's a problem every other day or somehow, somewhere, and something's gone wrong. And I just always find it's a lot more complex and confusing to customers as well than it is with Bitcoin. Do you guys find that do you find that Bitcoin and Lightning just have less issues for customer support and for actual technical wise, or are you just am I just kind of ad-libbing and putting words in your mouth here?
Well, you are preaching to the choir, because I am actually one of the people that manage in the company the blockchain nodes, or probably is the person that manage most of them. And so I hear all the complaints from all the customers, and I think that it's really rare to have an issue on Lightning or Bitcoin. And I think I tweeted a few days ago about the fact that with Bitcoin, you never have a problem, actually, with a Bitcoin, let's say, main chain node, right? So it never goes down. We have tens of millions of addresses, and it scales well. While, on other blockchains, on altcoins, every other day, either node crashes, or they need to rush an upgrade. They have an R4. It requires so much time to manage all that stuff, while with Bitcoin it's so easy, works well, is a simple piece of the puzzle, but it's the most important one, and it's the one that is is the pillar for, and many people say, well, Bitcoin is more solid because it does not have all those functionalities, but actually I don't want those functionalities in my core, right? When you build a complex system, you're trying to separate the different layers in order that every single layer can be as strong as possible. It's like trying to create a browser that runs internally also the Linux kernel and also has support of the device driver for the printer, right? You don't do that, right? There is the kernel, there is the browser, and so on, right? So that's how I see it. It's properly designed, and Lightning Network is the perfect example on how you can build a layer 2 that increase the speed, the features, the feature set of Bitcoin, while using relying on the underlying security of Bitcoin itself.
Yeah, I definitely get what you mean, because I think it's something we spoke to. So we spoke to I think it was Giacomo Zucco potentially about this, and I think we've asked this actually to a few people that we've interviewed. But the big point from him was that essentially, Monero good idea, all these different things, and it does seem to function generally. But his criticism, I suppose, was that he doesn't want privacy necessarily, privacy or lots of other things baked in on the base layer. And his argument was like, look, let's just make the base layer simple as possible and then build on top. So you've got like Lightning, you've got RGB, you've got Pervious, all these different like layer 3, layer 2 solutions. So I see where you're coming from. And I guess it's like that classic, people always use the internet, don't they? Where you've got like TCP IP and all different layers.
Yeah, exactly.
Creates the internet. But yeah, I think, because you mentioned the different layers, I suppose, are there any like projects that Bitfinex is involved in at all, or anything you guys are up to, or anything that you see in the Bitcoin world that kind of excites you at the moment, I suppose, since you seemed pretty interested in like Lightning and the different layers?
So I think that's one thing that I find extremely interesting now is I would like to see assets on Lightning, and there are many projects that are actually competing to achieve this, right? So there is RGB, for example. There is OmniVolt, that is protocol built on OmniLayer. Tether started in 2014 from OmniLayer because it was the only let's say blockchain that was allowing color coins, still relying on the security of the Bitcoin blockchain. So and now there is a protocol called OmniVolt that aims to implement support for assets, for Omni assets with a Lightning based on a Lightning based protocol. That is similar, but dissimilar to RGB. Similar in the sense that the intent is similar, but at the same time they have two quite diverse approaches. Also, I'm excited, for example, about Liquid, right? So I see Liquid as the enterprise solution for Bitcoin. So to remove still a lot of load from Bitcoin main chain, at the same time have these, first of all, using confidential transactions, confidential assets is quite cool, because in many different applications, you actually don't want to show a transaction or the content of a transaction. And I'm talking about specifically, securities trading, right? So if basically you are sending some Apple shares, or you are, even if you have an NFT, you don't want your transactions to be public. Let me give you an example, right? You want to sell your Apple shares, you don't want to be front run, so you might want to use confidential transactions. At the same time, we are living this world of NFTs now, and we are hearing people and companies that are looking at public other altcoins blockchains to store and use NFTs to print tickets, movie tickets, theater tickets, stadium tickets, right? And I'm quite scared, because in my opinion, if you don't add a layer of privacy there, it's really dangerous, right? So because from a certain point of view, if like you are keeping all your tickets in your address, then I can recreate the history of your movements, and I know that if you had the ticket for like an Italian theater to see, a ballet, I know that you were there that night, or at a certain point at that and in that period at least, right? So it's all like metadata leaking, indirect metadata leaking, that I'm fearful. And I like the approach of Liquid in trying to use and push for confidential transactions.
That's pretty cool. And I guess something that you mentioned was in there was like Tether and how it was built on the originally, which I remember I didn't know that until I'd like looked into Tether more about 6 months ago, and I was looking at doing a video to explain what it is to people. I just never noticed, I guess. But yeah, when it comes to Tether, because obviously that runs on Ethereum, Tron, I think Binance as well, potentially Smart Chain, like a few different, I might be wrong on that one, a few different, actually, no, it's not Binance, is it? I don't think.
No, it's so it's Omni, EOS, Ethereum, Tron, Liquid, Algorand, and we are working to integrate a couple of others. Yeah.
So yeah, it felt like I was testing it there. Because to be fair, I mean, I've never been a massive fan of Tron, I guess, but to be fair, it's very usable because it's low fees, it's quick. I have ended up using it a fair bit to transact and send USDT. Is what it is, I suppose.
I have a Tether related question also. I know it gets a lot of criticism, but arguably it's like the second most important cryptocurrency behind Bitcoin. What are your plans for Tether, like for the future? And where do you see Tether in a world where central banks might have their own CBDC crypto fiats?
So first of all, I agree that around Tether there is a lot of criticism, but the reason is that everyone tries to take a stab to the queen and not the last of the last wheel, right? So and I'm not saying this in a cold way. It's like it is what it is, right? So you are the first one. There is competition, and everyone tries to take a stab at you. So I really don't mind that any. In general, I believe that the Tether is in the right place to actually become a settlement network for a global world, right? So we built Tether in first of all free, so no transaction fees apart of the mining fees, of course the blockchain fees, and we built Tether in multi-chain. We came out with this solution because we thought that there is sometimes seems like blockchains are run by communities that hate each other, and partially it's true. And Tether could be the common denominator for all those. So we built Tether around that concept. As well as we are working to support projects that will bring Tether to Lightning protocols. As said, we work with with RGB, with Omni, Bolt, and with Liquid, and so on. So that's basically what we are aiming for in the next would say 6 to 12 months, to have diverse solutions for supporting Tether on Lightning protocols. Where we are going from here is actually starting working more and more with e-commerces, and trying to, because Tether, we feel like Tether is the perfect product. Is not competing with Bitcoin, but is complementary to Bitcoin, because it's like an easy entry point and can be a stable coin for the unbanked, right? So I think that's our vision for Tether. So I hope that answers the question.
Speaking of Tether, and I agree with your point, because Tether has someone who lives in Nigeria and trying to escape hyperinflation. Tether is actually very useful. I think it has virtually replaced the USD as alternative to, because getting access to USD itself is actually very, very difficult. But I'd like to ask, and personally, I do not believe that the criticisms of Tether is actually fair. I actually see some elements rubbish. But out of curiosity, I'd like to ask, do you think that some of the, I wouldn't call it witch hunt, but do you think some of the criticisms are sponsored? I remember this dude, Bitfinex, and he just popped out of nowhere and started getting lots of traction, spewing lots of conspiracy theories, lots of which, did my head in. I was like, dude, keep your head a wobble. But I personally felt like they coincided with the rise of all the stable coins. And do you think that it's your competition trying to bring you down?
I think that that's of course it's mining, because I feel that competition definitely is when you are in these emerging markets, emerging industry, like we are, like with crypto and so on. I'm not surprised. If I would not be surprised if the competitors would try to use different tactics to take a fair bit of market share from Tether. In the end, as I said, there is basically, if you have the biggest stablecoin in the market that is like it started from 100%, right? You have to take something from the biggest one, right? So you never looked at the third or the fourth or the fifth one, right? You always look at the biggest one and say, okay, I want to be that guy. So okay, how do I do it? And sometimes you find yourself in a way that maybe is a market that you don't understand, or is a market that you didn't create, and you use different techniques to get traction. So I don't know who is behind all this craziness around Tether, I believe that, to be fair, Tether created the stablecoin market in 2014. There were no regulations. A super uncertainty there is still uncertainty around crypto and stablecoins. But imagine 2014. So we spent a lot of time, a lot of energies to talk with regulators, to work with law enforcement agencies around the world to try to get a clear lines of what we could do, and we are getting there. And so it's a growing process. It's a process where you always improve yourself, and at the same time you improve the industry you are part of. And the competition started in late 2018 when most of our work was done, right? So of course from 2014 to 2018 we were the only one. So we set the path for everyone else. And then you have this shiny new competition that come out and say, well, we will be better, right? And the market is proving them wrong in the end, because we are the one that is still growing faster. We were 62 billion beginning of August. We are 69 and almost and a half today. And there is all this stuff around Tether. In 2014 there was in 2019 the NIAG thing came out, right? So, and we were $4 billion. Today we are $69 billion. And in this span of time, everyone said everything about Tether, yet Tether basically grew from 4 billion to 69 billion. That is more than 3,000% increase. So maybe it means that just the critics and just the witch hunters are just louder than the vast majority of people that actually are using Tether. You are saying yourself, right? We are there. So you will never see Tether looking for an IPO or trying to raise funds in endless rounds of fundraising, because we believe that we are making good money. But we are not here to go public and have an exit strategy. We are part of the ecosystem. We want to remain part of the ecosystem. We have a mission. We want to create a better financial industry. So fine, let's attack us, but we will not stand down. We will keep going.